But again, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. Our goal in our time together tonight is to share with you some of what we learned through the survey and what our next steps are. So we'll give a short presentation on some of the leadership board members. We'll provide a little bit more information, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. So want to start by just sharing a little bit of background on the survey itself. We partnered with Holy Cow Consulting. They're a local firm out of Westerville, and they've used a tool that they call the congregational assessment tool. And they have used that tool for over 20 years in over 2,800 congregations in 49 states. So this is not some fly-by-night organization. It has a long history of providing good information to help congregations take next steps. In general, what the congregational assessment tool measures is overall satisfaction of the membership and constituency and overall energy level. Those are the primary things that it looks at, but it also helps assess the priorities of the congregation, what the congregation members would say are their priorities, and it gives some prescriptions of some critical success factors for improvement. There was a consultant from Holy Cow who spent right around 3 hours with the leadership board, the core values task force, and some of the members of the staff. We met with her in the April timeframe, and she reviewed in detail all the information about this survey. We're not going to provide all of that information to you this evening. What we've done as a leadership board is to digest that information for you, and we'll be sharing the things that we found to be most important and that we feel have an impact on the future plans for our church. Overall, Holy Cow was really pleased with the results, or the response rate to our survey. We had 198 survey participants, which is about 80% of our average worship attendance. And they were really pleased with that because they said that response rate is not atypical. We should feel good as a church about how invested the members of our church are in the success of our church. So looking at the breakdown of how the folks, what kinds of folks responded, we felt that the survey results are representative of the congregation in total. It has good representation from all demographic segments, including age, tenure with the church, and which service they attend. All of this, I think, means that we can be truly confident in what the survey results are telling us. So I'm gonna turn it over to Carrie Buss, who's our leadership board chair, and she's gonna share a little bit more about what we learned. Carrie?
Thanks, Jeff. First of all, just give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me okay? All right, thank you. So first we're gonna talk about the results. What did the survey tell us? First, I think it's important to know and keep in mind as we talk about this, that everything is relative to what's happening in other churches. This assessment kind of, just as Jeff was mentioning, I'm sorry? This assessment compares us to almost 3,000 other churches. The good news that we learned is that our church is consistently attracting new members. The positive and growing number of people who completed the survey who indicated being at our church for 4 years or less was atypical amongst churches surveyed. This means that we are seeing people find our church at a rate that is more positive than what other comparable churches are seeing. We are glad that new members of our community are finding Indian Run. The survey also provided some ideas on what changes we need to make to keep attracting and retaining these new members. A challenge that the survey told us about and that we face in our congregation is that we have lower than desired satisfaction and lower than desired energy as compared to other churches who have taken the assessment. The only subgroup of people in our congregation that have high satisfaction and high energy are those who have been here 4 years or less. Everyone else has medium to low satisfaction and energy. And you can see that on the chart that just went up. If you see in the upper right quadrant, you see the 0 to 4 years, that's where it's indicating the high energy, high satisfaction. And then if you look in the lower left-hand quadrant with low energy, low satisfaction, that's where these other demographic groups are found. The good news in this is that churches that are located in the lower left-hand quadrant are the easiest to move into the upper right-hand quadrant. The other beneficial news is that our survey results indicated that our church is, our church is generally more adaptable than other churches. So making necessary change won't be as big of a challenge for us as it would be for other churches. The results also showed that we are a clergy-focused congregation. In clergy-focused congregations, satisfaction and energy is driven primarily by how the congregation feels about the lead pastor. How is their relationship with the lead pastor? Do they like him or her? Do they like what the pastor is doing? Do they think worship is excellent? Understanding that our congregation is clergy-focused means that it is important for the leadership board to develop and share reasonable expectations about what one person, our pastor, can do. The board has been working with Pastor Jeff to clarify where they feel he should be putting his time and energy and what needs to be delegated to other members of our wonderful staff here at Indian Run or other leaders within the congregation, so that Pastor Jeff has time to spend developing those relationships and helping build those good relationships with folks within the congregation. One final thing we learned from the survey is that there is still a lack of clarity around our leadership structure and how members of the congregation can provide input for decisions that need to be made. We will be taking some time in upcoming services to provide more information about how the leadership structure is formed and how it works. We also want to invite any member who is interested in providing input to join the leadership board at one of the monthly open meetings, which are typically held at 6:30 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at Indian Run. And I would just caution you, if this is something you would like to come and participate in, just check with somebody on the leadership board or call the office just to make sure that month it's happening according to that schedule, because it's not unheard of that we would shift it around by a week, just depending on schedules. Next, I would like to talk about the top drivers of satisfaction and energy. The assessment showed the following expectations that you have for our church. These expectations drive satisfaction and energy. This is what the congregation has said that you need to be fully satisfied or have high energy. Our pastor helps us accomplish our mission by bringing out the best in everyone. The worship services at our church are exceptional in both quality and spiritual content. Our pastor presides over worship with care, engaging the people in a meaningful way. Persons who serve as leaders in our church are representative of the membership. In preaching, our pastor engages people with a message that enriches their lives in the world. And finally, our pastor articulates a clear vision for our church and keeps it before the people in a compelling way. I think it's easy to see as you look over those drivers, again, that relationship with being a clergy-driven or clergy-focused congregation. And you can see that coming through on the things that drive our satisfaction and energy. Fortunately, the survey also identified the top critical success factors for improving satisfaction and energy. Several of these critical success factors revolved around our worship experiences. You place a high priority on having worship services that are exceptional in both quality and spiritual content, with preaching that is engaging and relevant. And we'll talk about how we'll address that when we get to the next steps portion of this conversation. But now I'm going to turn it over to Alan, and he's going to talk to you about some of the priorities that were identified in the survey.
Thanks, Carrie. One section of the assessment asked about priorities for our congregation. Where would we like our energy to be placed? We identified top priorities, 5 priorities, and those are: 1, to develop and implement a comprehensive strategy to reach new people and incorporate them into the life of the church. 2, make necessary changes to attract families with children and youth to our church. Next, create more opportunities for people to form meaningful relationships. For example, small groups, nurtured friendships, shared meals, etc. Next, deepen our sense of connection to God and one another through stronger worship services. And finally, to develop ministries that work toward healing those broken by life circumstances. We will continue to have a focus on these priorities as we work towards meeting your expectations to drive satisfaction and energy. Next, we're going to take a look at the next steps. How are we going to achieve all this information, address all this information that we've been given in the survey? So first, we want to say thank you for taking the time to complete the survey. We're thankful for the responses. And here are the plans that we plan to take. First, we're realizing we are a clergy-focused church. There are a number of things we need to do to help clarify that. We need some education. We will share the pastor's priorities, the leadership board and staff responsibilities, and congregational roles. We want to communicate who does what, and we'll do so via email and in-church communication. We also need to develop ways for our Pastor Jeff to deepen relationships with people while still tending to his other pastoral responsibilities. And we'll do this to help support our pastor in delegation to allow his focus on relationship building. We also need to help our members of the congregation develop meaningful relationships in the church beyond our pastor. This will result in continued focus on small groups and adult education opportunities. Next, responding to our critical success factors of excellence in worship, our primary focus there will be to develop a process to hear what people want from worship. We'll meet with small groups, hold open comment meetings, in-home conversations, etc. And this will be a point of focus during the month of July. We will be having online sign-up Genius available so that you can sign up for some of these listening sessions, and there are sign-up sheets available at the church that we will have. And here on the screen are some of our current plans, a wide variety of options for these listening sessions, some at the church, some in homes, some in the evening, some during the day. So there should be a wide variety of options for members of the congregation to choose from to be able to participate and provide additional information to us so that we can help implement all these things that we need to do to make the church better. Next, we'll be clarifying the leadership board structure and opportunities for input. We'll be providing via email and in-church communications to share the leadership board structure, its roles and responsibilities of the board and the various members. And we'll create opportunities for the congregation to share feedback, questions, etc. with the board, and to allow room to listen to one another and hold space for differences. This process will be formulated based on what we learn in our July listening session. And finally, addressing the clear vision desired by our congregation. Our values task force will be utilizing the survey results in its work to define core values for our congregation. The members of the values task force are Sally Robinson, Cheryl Worley, Nick Knebel, Julie Fletcher, Todd Alkire, and Pastor Jeff. If you're interested in helping with this effort, please reach out to the Values Task Force by contacting Sally or Cheryl. Thank you again for the investment you have made in this survey, for the time you took to offer your thoughts, and for being with us today to hear the results of our future plans. It's a true gift to be part of a community of faith where so many people are committed to our shared future. Now we'd like to open the floor to any questions that you may have.